Good evening. Let us discuss 28th May 2015 newspaper. The first one is previous Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's criticism on Modi's government. So he brings in forefront the conflict between welfareism versus higher economic growth. So here again, if you see this conflict, the socialism versus a capitalistic model of growth, and next is socialism versus a neoliberal model of growth. All these are interlinked over here. So what he said is the entire welfareistic model was being given away to provide for the higher economic growth. It means that the government is shifting away from the responsibilities it has towards the poor people, and it is believing only in higher growth economic model towards elimination of the poverty. And the second criticism is about the centralization of the power. So the Prime Minister's office has become all powerful and the power has been centralized over there. And another criticism is related to the foreign policy, and also the government is more and more concentrating on harping on corruption to divert the people on non-issues. So these are the criticisms of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. The next issue is related to the strategic reserves of petrol. So in this context, the Vajpayee government first mooted this idea in 1998. So finally it took a shape in 2003. Some infrastructure is being developed on keeping the strategic reserves. So India is being 80% dependent on the imported oil. It is highly vulnerable to the emergencies or exigencies, and maintaining of the strategic reserves are very much important. Especially as the violence is deepening in West Asia, instability is increasing in West Asia, the oil prices and also the availability of the crude itself is becoming an issue of this particular crisis in West Asia. So in this context, maintaining of the strategic reserves is happening in US, China, and even in the countries such as Kenya. So in this context, the problem is India aims for creation of strategic reserves for at least 90 days. Actually, these were suggested by Rangarajan Committee. Now, if you see, at least as of now, the 3 million barrels are being consumed per day. Now, it means that 270 million of barrels has to be maintained as a strategic reserve as on today. Now, as on now, the government is slowly building up the strategic reserve for 3 days. Also, slowly by the end, it is going to increase it to 39 million barrels. It is hardly coming to 10 days. The major challenge over here is the cost of infrastructure. Already the fuel prices are very high in India. So the addition of storage facilities and all these things are going to increase the cost of the barrel further by $17 to $19. And instead of that, can't we explore the alternatives without losing our strategic interests? So in this context, we can overcome our susceptibility based on something called commercial agreements. We all know that India has got a higher refining facility. So it means we can make the commercial agreements and clear and objectively with our neighbors and also with the oil-rich countries, where whenever an emergency or exigency, irrespective of the circumstances, they have to supply the crude to us. So it reduces the time for the creation of the infrastructure of storage and also the cost, and it provides for the crude and it satisfies our strategic interests. So this is what article talks about. Next is gold fever. So what it says is this. Now, the gold imports in India are increasing and showing an upward spiral. So what is the impact of gold imports? If you observe, the gold is, after the crude, it is one of the important and largely imported material in India. So imports are increasing over exports The situation of the exports is not very good because of global scenario. Finally, it is creating trade deficit. One-fourth of the trade deficit in India can be attributed to gold. So in this context, so what it is making India, especially current account deficit. Now, why the gold is being so brought in India? The major reason is the gold has a hedging risk. Our gold is seen as an investment in India, and more than attraction, it is more an investment and an hedge against the risks in the future. So, in this context, so if we want to decrease the risk, we can develop the alternative financial instruments. So, development of proper alternative financial instruments and providing for other factors, risk alleviation factors, can decrease the importance of the gold in day-to-day life. So in this context, the gold monetization scheme which was taken up by the government is a right step. However, how the success of gold monetization scheme will depends upon the trust it develops with the people. So the gold monetization scheme, what it does is this. The people can pledge their gold, and on that particular gold they can get the interest either in the form of gold or in the form of currency from the banks. Banks will use this gold to show that as part of their cash reserve ratios. It means that effectively the amount has to be showed in cash reserve ratios comes down, and more money will be available for giving credit. Next is clear policy. We know that after the entry of Manohar Parrikar as the defense minister, the number of clearances on defense projects are increasing. The defense modernization in India is almost stalled during UPA-2 government because of the former defense minister A.K. Antony's policy of very little intervention to avoid the corruption. So do little so that the risk-free and corruption-free administration can be ensured. Because of this, there is a stagnation and policy paralysis. Now the existing ministry is taking a quick decisions with regard to the various defense procurements. It is the Prime Minister, the government-to-government deal to take 36 Rafale aircrafts, and also the closure of deal for Kamo utility aircrafts and Arrow artillery guns. All these, Avro helicopter replacement and artillery guns to the tune of total to the tune of 1 lakh crores are being cleared by the existing defense minister. So these are the positive developments we see. But the major problems are there are certain delays on the other front too. The election manifesto promise of BJP, that is one rank, one pension, has got delayed. Added to that, there is no proper defense procurement policy. So that is also delaying the purchases. So in spite of this, now again, in the last article we saw that the existing government wanted to downsize the mountain corps in the name of financial prudence, which did not go well with the army. So in spite of this, understand in India traditionally the private sector has a very little role with regard to the defense. The most of the role is occupied by the public sector, and most of the production is in the public sector. Now with the Make in India campaign, so the private sector has to be given a new role. And added to that, the DRDO, the Research and Development Agency DRDO, it is suffering from a huge human resources problem. Even its director is not appointed for many months together. So it means now the present defense modernization is based on imports plus Make in India strategy. So unless defense procurement policy is made as quick as possible, there will be no clarity on how the Make in India policy will be taken forward. So if India has to become technologically sovereign, the word used is if India has to become technologically sovereign, then India has to work on something called as the quick policy making, which can improve the situation. And next, AP Telangana life after division. So both the states are suffering from some teething problems. The first thing is the AP Reorganization Act was very poorly drafted in hurry, and it was majorly for the political gain. Now if you compare the division of other states, that is Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, these were taken relatively with a much care and attention, because the NDA government at that point of time was not expecting a political mileage immediately. On the other hand, the existing government for a political UPA2 government for a political mileage haphazardly divided the state. So the AP Reorganization Act is poorly drafted. It is leading to many conflicts between these two states with regard to higher education, with regard to river water sharing. So each and everywhere with regard to the capital of Hyderabad, maintenance of law and order in Hyderabad, there is a huge confusion over here. Now, another thing is the government of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they have a huge daunting developmental task before them. Now, if you see the Telangana, the KCR, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, the Chief Minister, he has the same problem as Modi, because while movement is on way in Telangana, he promised big to the people. So in this context, living on those promises is a major challenge to him. On the other hand, in Andhra Pradesh, the Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, he is sitting on a state where there are no funds and there is a huge deficit, fiscal deficit. So in this context, filling the new optimism into the people about the future is his major challenge. In this context, what are the issues we need to understand? The government of Andhra Pradesh, it is trying to build new capital Amaravati, and the government of Telangana is in reshaping the brand image of Hyderabad. So both of them are preoccupied with their capital cities rather than with the development of the people. That is one thing. The focus has to shift from the capitals to the development as a whole. The second thing is the development, along with the development, previously the development was focused only on Hyderabad. Now it is an opportunity for both the states to disperse the development. In Andhra Pradesh, secondary cities can be developed. In Telangana also, the secondary cities of Karimnagar and Warangal can be focused on. So third thing is, with regard to Hyderabad, the context of the Hyderabad or the development of the Hyderabad is related to its cosmopolitan culture. It means if we can retain this cosmopolitan culture and entrepreneurial spirit from various sections of the people, Hyderabad development can be taken forward. Next is the newspapers. This is about how the non-existent newspapers, they are getting undue benefits from the governmental advertisement budgets, and how it is leading to the loss to the exchequer was discussed in this particular article. So these are the articles. And next is, there is one more thing is, with regard to the power sector, there are certain objectives are being talked by Mr. Piyush Goyal, the Minister for Power. What he says is, India is aiming for 24/7 power by 2019. By 2022, the government is aimed at creation of 1,75,000 megawatt of power from renewable sources. And he also talks about green energy corridor will be set up to transmit the energy. And ultra mega power projects, 5 more ultra mega power projects total, they are going to bring in 20,000 megawatts. And he talked about transparent process of e-auction of the coal blocks. It is going to increase the revenues in the form of royalties, how much the states are going to get. So it also makes the coal availability for future energy needs. So these are the things which are being spoken by Mr. Piyush Goyal related to the power and its challenges. Thank you very much.